Hey guys, all right, so had an idea a while ago to have a little record discussion with Dad here. I've got a pile of vinyl. Now, almost all of these were either your original records, like they were actually yours at one point.
That you stole.
That I stole. And either that or it's stuff that I've picked up along the way, like kind of for you at some point.
Yeah, we might tell everybody that you have a giant collection of vinyl
Right.
at home.
It's probably about, I don't know, maybe like 600 or 700 records.
Right.
So a number of them are either were yours or I got for you
That you stole.
that I stole. So I'm just going to go, it's going to be alphabetized. We have a stack. We're going to go through like 5 or 6 right now
Okay.
and just let's talk about it, man.
Good.
All right. So the first one, and again, in alphabetical order. And then along comes the association. So
Yes.
there's that.
Yes. Well, I happen to think that one of the most beautiful songs, it gives me chills every time I hear it, is Cherish.
Yeah.
A gorgeous song. And I was in high school when I got this record. I think my friend Tim Warner turned me on to it. And I just love the haunting nature of that particular song.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the band because it's very commercial, obviously, but vocal oriented type stuff. And I always was a sucker for that.
And this is, what year is this record? I think it's like 60, let's see, it might be on there.
I don't know. I'm not good at dates.
Doesn't say, of course. It's mid-60s, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the other thing, too, it's 66, June 66.
Yeah, and so the thing about it is that I found out that the association was coming to San Jose,
Yeah.
down at the Civic Auditorium downtown. And they're on the bill with the Mamas and Papas and Three Dog Night.
That's a weird one. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, and it was a great show. And then they came into town a second time and just headlining, and they did it in the Round.
Nice.
And one story on that is that afterwards, we went out back, my two friends and I, we went out back, and there were a bunch of screaming girls that had run to this sort of dock there in the back, I guess, where they load in equipment.
Yeah.
And Ted Bushell, the drummer, that was the cute one of the of the band.
Sure.
So they were all around him, and he was down there, sitting there talking and taking all. They were all screaming and kind of touching him and stuff, and they're all around him. So my friend Tim Warner went up and kind of worked his way through the crowd.
Yeah.
And took his shoe off and stole it and ran away. And we could hear Ted Bushell going, "Who took my shoe?" I don't know. I don't know if he still has that shoe.
He probably does.
Bronzed somewhere.
eBay.
But anyway, yeah, association. I knew all the names of the guys, and
Yeah. Well, it has that thing like lots of old records, like Monkey stuff, where it like describes everyone, and Gary, who doesn't smoke, drink, or eat meat. Like it says all these like stats about them and stuff.
yeah, what a wuss.
Seriously.
But anyway, yeah, I knew the band, loved the stuff, and I probably bought every one of their records afterwards.
This one, I think actually, I remember growing up and you actually having this, but I think this came from a Goodwill for like $1. Like I think in San Jose actually in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I talked to Jim Yester, who was one of the main guys in the band, and who sang "Along Comes Mary." He was the guy who sang that. Talked to him. He was up in the balcony of the San Jose Civic Auditorium, and he was over there. And he was a real nice guy, real approachable.
It's a good record.
Yeah, one of my
Kind of
favorites.
an underrated band.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next one. This is not an underrated band, but this record itself is kind of an oddity in some way,
Okay.
and that's Smiley Smile,
Smiley
the
Smile.
Beach Boys.
Yeah. And that came you know, I'm treading on, walking on eggs right now because Beach Boy fans know all the stuff, the
Right.
timelines and
Sure.
all that thing. But, yeah, essentially Smiley Smile came out when the original, record, Brian's masterpiece, Smile.
Just smile.
Yeah,
Right.
he freaked out, you know, they quit recording it and filed it away.
Right.
And he, you know, he flipped out and so the other boys got together and did some songs off of Smile, did
Right.
different versions of them.
Heroes and Villains,
Yeah.
for instance.
I think Heroes and Villains, it probably was from the actual Smile sessions. But a lot of this stuff, and Good Vibrations.
Yeah.
But a lot of this stuff, wind chimes, things like that, were just them, I think, getting stoned in some house
It
somewhere.
sounds like it.
Because there's a lot of laughing
Yeah.
and
Vegetables itself, it's just like them
nonsense.
sitting
yeah.
around like.
Vegetables, which is one of my favorite tunes.
Yes, I love that song.
Not a completely successful record, but nevertheless, one that I return to often. I always love the cover for
Yeah,
some
me too.
reason. I just kind of carried me away.
Yeah.
Fairy tale like. Yeah, the Beach Boys.
And that
Big
that-
influence on
That was in fact yours that I stole and have had for years. As with the next one, now this amazing record, I love it very much. Almost every song. The original self-titled first B-52s record.
Ah, yes, Rock Lobster.
Of course, with the Rock Lobster,
With the Rock Lobster.
Planet Claire. It's another great song. The first song.
Yeah, great catchy stuff. Funny.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Beehive hairdos.
The Beehives, the whole thing.
Kind of like, I always thought of it sort of being like a John Waters kind of, that kind of kitschy
Absolutely.
thing in the best way possible.
Wasn't a rock. It was a rock lobster. Great song.
Boys in
and it's a
bikinis.
long song, isn't it? It's like
It is, it's like 7 minutes long, but
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like.
No,
it
not
is.
at all.
There's all these different parts. Then
Yeah.
the coolest thing to me too is there's no bass. It's like basically guitar, drums,
There's no bass.
and keyboards.
I'll have to hear this again. I haven't heard it in a long time. There's no bass.
No bass,
You're sure about that?
pretty sure.
I think
Unless there are some like
I think you're wrong.
organ bass moments.
Oh, they might be playing like a key bass or
like a
something.
keyboard. But mostly, especially Rock Lobster, for instance, it's all just guitar, drums,
Yeah.
and keyboard.
yeah.
And Fred, what's his name, Schneider, just maniacally going off over that.
Yeah.
But that was yours, so that means that I started hearing the B-52s and Rock Lobster when I was like 5.
Yeah. And what did you think? Did you like it right
I
away?
think I probably did. Now, kind of along the same lines of sort of new wave stuff, this was your record too.
Okay.
This is Blondie's Parallel Lines, which was the one that kind of made them a big deal. It was like Heart of Glass
Right.
record, stuff like that.
And everybody was in love with Deborah.
Yeah,
Harry.
of course. And then one thing I found interesting really quickly I want to say, the first song on that, which is also one of their big hits, Hanging on the Telephone, it's
Yeah.
a cover. It's a
It
band called The
is.
Nerves.
I'll be
And
darned.
The real song was like 2 years before this,
Really?
and Blondie just kind of made it.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, my new wave era. I used to go down, not this record, I knew about Blondie, but I used to go down, I'm sure you're gonna have some in your collection, but, my thing was to go down to, I don't know if it was Licorice Pizza at the time, or Music Plus. or
Music Plus.
Music
yeah.
Plus, and just find a record that, it's an old kind of tradition of mine, to go down and not know anything about a band or,
Yes.
or a particular musician or singer, and go, this looks interesting, I'll take a chance.
Yeah, totally.
And I think almost every time that paid off.
Yeah.
It really did.
That would be, if one was not already aware of the B-52s, that would be like, what is this? I gotta
Exactly.
check that out.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so then the last one for this segment is going back pre-New Wave, obviously. The first self-titled Buffalo Springfield record.
Well, that ties into what I just said. This is a record that I went down, and again, I don't remember what what record store it was, what
Yeah.
chain it was at the time in the 60s when this came out. And I remember that I was reading some newspaper of some sort, and I saw a picture of the band. Didn't know anything about them. Saw a picture of the band, and it says, the title of the article is Buffalo Springfield Looms, which means they loom over the horizon or
Right.
whatever. They're ready to break or whatever it
Yeah.
is. And so for a long time, I thought they were called Buffalo Springfield Looms. So then I go down and I see this record, and I go, I think I've never heard of these guys, don't know what it's like,
Yeah.
don't know if I'll love it or hate it.
Yep.
Took it home and was blown away.
First song is For What It's Worth.
For what it's worth.
It is started.
But it wasn't on, but For What It's Worth wasn't on the original record.
Really?
That's right. They re-released it later with For What It's
as-
Worth because it was a hit.
It was the hit, yeah.
So, of course, I fell in love with the original record,
Yeah.
so whatever song it replaced, or maybe it's an addition to, I'm not
Maybe, I don't
sure.
know.
I kind of always liked to hear the original
Yeah.
way that I heard it when I was a
So
kid.
this
'cause
is some like repress probably a few years later.
But my guy in this band, the guy that I gravitated toward, was Neil.
Sure.
The darker stuff, kind of minor chordish, more mysterious guy.
Yep.
And I loved all these guys. This guy, the bass player, he's always he had some sort of religion or spiritual thing going on, and I think it was one of those deals where the camera can steal your soul or something.
Oh, like he-
So almost every picture, I believe every single picture is either him looking away, looking down, or turning his back.
He's doing it right there.
Yeah, he's looking down here.
And Neil
But-
Young is like faking passed out on the guy's shoulder.
Of course, and then there's Richie with the beautiful voice who became a Christian, is a pastor in Colorado now, and this is one of my favorite records.
That's a great one.
And it's the band playing. It's not the Wrecking Crew
Right.
like the Association. I don't know.
Oh, what, does that?
I think it is. I
not
think
them.
I think maybe some of it's them, but it's sort of like the First Birds record.
Yeah.
It's the Wrecking Crew playing, but these guys are playing their own instruments. A little raw, and it's not particularly recorded well.
Right.
But nevertheless, this material is so strong, and one of my favorites on here is Nowadays Clancy Can't Even Sing.
Yeah, I love that song too.
And wait, I think there is a song that I love that Neil's maybe. Well, I'm confused.
We'll have to
See,
find.
I'd like to find out the original
Yeah.
lineup as far as the songs, because I think there's something missing that maybe I love.
I'll try to track it down.
Yeah,
Well,
for later.
for the next.
Yeah, we'll
Possibly.
keep the viewers in suspense.
Yeah. So that's just the first few of a pretty large pile. So.
All right. Well, it's been one big pile so far.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Good.
That was real good.
Yeah. All right.
All right.